hopefully, I know this is biased, given the circumstances, but hopefully there'll be another way to look at this, because we've had some surprising and disappointing news about Joseph Parker. Obviously, we've heard the fact that there's been an adverse finding. I know I made a big deal about adverse findings in the past, saying it's not adverse finding, it's a failed drugs test. So let's call it a failed drugs test. This is different for Joseph Parker. This is not about performance-enhancing drugs. This is about recreational drugs. They still have a code of obligation upon it for there to be a consequence if he's found guilty of it. But me, this was a surprise. I mean, this guy's had a week, isn't he? He's had that month. He took a fight that he didn't need to take. He fought it in a way that he didn't need to fight it in. He's been tested positive for cocaine, and Fabio Wardley's been elevated to the WBO heavyweight champion of the world. Yeah. As you said to me in a text, a week.
It certainly is.
Are you surprised by this bloody news about the failed drugs test?
Blown away. Blown away by what it is. You know, recreational drugs, cocaine. You just go, how has that got in your system? He's got some explaining to do, for one, and you think, with what you had on the line, and with what what was coming up for you, and the opponent you had in front of you, you just go like, cocaine in your system. It's absurd. It's like, it blew me away, because anyone that knows Joseph Parker knows that he is a clean living athlete who, and we've seen the improvements over the recent performances, and he's worked his arse off to get himself into this position. I'm blown away by it. How can
his urine sample get contaminated? That's got to be the first question.
This is the point.
How can he give a sample and then a B sample, and they both come back positive for a banned substance? It doesn't make any sense.
This is the thing. I've got to put my stall up there first. Anyone that's failed drug tests, it's not that I don't sympathise with them. Some have took the wrong supplements. I've heard of that in the past, but it's still strict liability. You still failed it. If he's taking cocaine, he deserves the ban he's going to get. But I don't think he has, and I'm not being blind and naive by this
system, then?
I don't know. Maybe someone in the dressing room's picked his water up, someone who's on it at the time. Don't forget, when they're testing, they're only testing for a trace. It's not an amount. They're testing for any trace. He could have been counting money. I'm not saying he has. I don't know. But it's very surprising to me. And listen, I want to ban them all, ban every drug.
Yeah, there is a difference between.
I think there's a difference
between performance-enhancing drugs, because you're going in there to create jeopardy and damage to a person by being enhanced to do so. By taking recreational drugs, the person that you're doing damage to is probably yourself. Joseph released this statement saying, "I did not take any prohibited substance. I do not use performance-enhancing drugs and do not support their use. I'm cooperating fully with the process now underway, and I'm confident the investigation will clear my name." Now, we've never heard anybody come out that's been found guilty of a drugs offence and turn around and say, "Fair cop, gov, you've got me." So you've got to read in behind the lines behind that. I'm torn by this, because, like most of us, we are massively impressed by Joseph Parker as a fella, and massively impressed by the fights that he's put on recently, up until the loss against Fabio Wardley. I've said my view on the past about strict liability and the views of what strict liability should entail. There's a part of me that feels that strict liability shouldn't apply to the same extent it applies with PEDs. There should be a consequence for a recreational drug, because it's kind of bringing the sport into disrepute. It's making fighters look like they don't live their lives properly, and it's a bad example, albeit I don't think fighters or footballers should have to walk around being permanent role models. The cure to this particular conundrum is hire the same lawyers as Conor Benn hired, and then you'll find yourself not getting a ban. What do you think, Spence? Because I try to be fair and objective. Are we likely to fall into a trap because we like Joe Parker not being hard on this?
No, do you know what it is? This is the thing that blows your mind in this situation. Is like, he's tested positive. Like, cocaine would be out of his system in the week of the fight. So if he's done it during the week of the fight with what was on the line. You just go, that blows my mind. Surely he wouldn't be that stupid to do that. And the recreational drug cocaine is not going to improve his performance in any way at all. You're right in what you say, Simon. It's going to make him decline massively. So I just don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Liam Cameron got smacked.
And he got a 4-year ban.
He got slammed.
Yeah. And that was brutal, by the way.
Spence,
I thought that was brutal.
I might be wrong here, but fights I've had, you do a drug test at the weigh-in, you do a drug test after the fight. You do one before the fight and after the fight.
Sure.
The one before the fight hasn't been failed.
Yeah.
So is it only on fight night when it's happened? Because that is technically when cocaine, I heard from a nutritionist mate of ours, that is in competition, fight day. So out of competition, he's fine.
Well, I mean, again,
that brings up the argument about then contaminated bottles or anything like that.
Or he's had it in the dressing room before he's gone out to fight.
What I heard, and again, I don't want to be the sort of purveyor of conspiracy theories and endless gossip, but I have heard and seen correspondence between someone and someone else, which I'm not going to allude to too much because it breaches confidence, that the house that Andy Lee and Joe Parker were training in was subjected to, prior to them renting this house, to a range of police presence and police raids. Now that then leads you to conclusion what might have been in that house and what the environment they might have been in might have created an ability to contaminate. What that does mean is that there's not enough professionalism about what fucking environments they're training in and where they're living, if that were to be true, because surely to Christ, if that house was being raided by the old Bill prior to you renting it, you wouldn't want to put a potential heavyweight champion of the world in there, would you?
Absolutely. And, you know, like Paul's saying there, we're talking about testing being done before the fight and after the fight here. And, you know, he's failed the testing after the fight. And you go, so that whole contamination bullshit about, you know, something that could have been substance that could have been in the house. Well, no, because we're talking about testing that's done after that. So, yeah, I think.
Well, let's see how it plays out, because ultimately, despite our own perhaps individual biases towards the fact that we like Joseph Parker, there has to be some consequence. And whether Joseph can produce enough of a strong evidential position to get himself up from underneath remains to be seen. I hope personally he does, but we'll see.